Hello. I'm going to let me in because it's a minute. Me and this welcome. Kind of late to be talking about our emerging economy. Hello. I got 5 stars. So changed from being very upset with Pat. I like talking about 5 stars. So sound is robot. Let me mute this. I doubt that what is going to be a real short lot is being did. I'm gonna try this one more time, and then I'm gonna have to. If it still sounds terrible, I'm just gonna have to end it because. Oh, if it still sounds terrible, I'm just gonna have to end it because. Okay, there might have been an echo because I was listening, but I think we are solved. I think okay. Bless Jesus. Hello to everybody. I don't know what the fuck was going on with that. We're just gonna keep it short and simple. In hopes that whatever was going on doesn't come back. But again, like I said, I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. Now that the audio isn't being super weird for the people, feel free to let me know what you guys thought of it down below. I think the second time, okay, sounds great. You love to see it. I think the second time, because it was my second time reading it, I did enjoy it. Oh, I think I enjoyed it more the second time because the first time I went in, I didn't really have expectations. But I went in the second time with higher expectations because I did give it 5 stars the first time. And I think it lives up to that. I think that Penny is a really interesting character. I think I enjoyed Sam more this time. The first time, I don't think I really cared about that man. He just kind of existed off on his side little thing. So I think the second time I was more invested in his storyline. And the first time I read it, I didn't care about his little documentary. Didn't care about that little documentary at all. But the second time I enjoyed it a little bit more. You gave it 4 stars. You wish it was a friendship. I could see, I wouldn't be mad at it if it was a friendship. I appreciated their relationship. But I do think that for a large, like a big part of the book, it does give off friendshipy vibes. So I can understand that one. I can understand wanting it because it doesn't give like. But I also don't really. I think no, I wouldn't say either character is like overly romantic in any kind of meaningful way. So I'm not surprised that it's not a more romantic book. I think that just comparing it to like Permanent Record, it's more. Is it though? I don't know. Maybe Mayor H.K. Choi just doesn't really write, actually romantic romance situations because Yoke isn't a romance either. And so I think that this was a cute like stop for Mary, and she was like, "Here you go for the children." Um, but other than like Sam and Penny not being the typical romantic leads, I don't really know if it did anything for contemporary romance overall. I did enjoy both of them. Again, the second time, still being just as cynical, just as like not overtly uh hello. You didn't read it. That's fine. I don't assume a lot of people actually participate in the book club. I appreciate those who do. I have a good time. Except for when I had mad when I made you guys read of Curses and Kisses. That was a low moment, but otherwise I'm really happy that I get to read, or in this case, like reread. A moment for the parents. I think I was it this year? Might have been on Twitter. Maybe it was in somebody's Goodreads review. I'm trying to remember. But I personally love Penny's mom, and I love Penny's relationship to her mom. And I don't understand. I think it was a Goodreads review where someone was upset with how like Penny treats her mom, and I wouldn't treat a parent that way. Um, wouldn't be me, but I do think that part of the book is Penny and her mom grow. I think that's also where like the romantic elements like don't ever click because a lot of the book is Penny just realizing how she treats people, and part of that is her learning how she treats her mom, and she realizes she's being a shitty person to her mom. Um, and so I enjoy that arc. Penny's mom would make me go crazy. Yeah, I don't think I want her as my mom. Like I'm good. But I like her as a character. I thought that she was so well realized. I thought it was a really I don't know. I like the fun mom trope in like movies and television, and I think that Penny's mom was a nice bookish counterpart to that still felt like ground like Penny's mom was the cool fun mom in a way that like made sense to me. It didn't feel like it was overly theatrical. And so she'll need to be my mom. I'm good there, but I'm happy that Penny has her. And I'm happy that her mom exists. It was great. The other parents, like Sam's mom that we saw in like the trailer for like 3 seconds, also a mess. Also would not like I don't want any of these parents. I'm good there as well, but she was also interesting. I thought that was also just like a really I don't know, maybe because like this was like they were more recently parents have been cropping back up into YA and having like actually meaningful conversations and like roles in the story that aren't like I don't know, just to be absent. And I felt that it was nice having both parents like kind of being I mean, that was a great scene. I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed that scene. And then we got to meet her boyfriend. That was cute. Her boyfriend was so wholesome. Just great, great moments. Again, I don't want that phone call. I'm happy Penny got that call, not me. She handled it much better than I could have ever handled that phone call. So I love that for Penny. But again, I enjoyed both parents. I enjoyed that they're not mine. I enjoyed what they added to the story, and uh, that they were in the story, that they were important to the story, that they had relevant arcs that also tied in to other character journeys. Like, again, I understand that, parents are popping back up other places, but Emergency Contact is like 3 years old now. So it's a little backlisty. It's a little before the current moment. Her roommate. Well, I can't remember her name. That's what I will say. I read this like a month ago, so that's kind of embarrassing. Mallory? Was Mallory the roommate? Was Mallory the friend of the roommate? Both of those characters I thought were really interesting, and I appreciated that it was those characters that decided to call Penny out on her bullshit. That was my favorite moment the first time I read it, and it was a favorite moment the second time that I read it, because again, like, Penny is not like, I wouldn't call Penny a bad person. That seems like a stretch to me, but she's not like, how do I, like, she's just like not someone that I would intentionally want to be around. So I was happy. Like, she's definitely a person that needs to be called on the bullshit, and I'm happy that those characters did that. I think that in other books, we would have like this main character who is doing all of these things, and the author would give us explanations as to why they're doing these things, to sort of prop up why that's happening. But Mary is like, yeah, I'll give you that, but we're also still going to call her out on it. And I really appreciate that. Where did my mouse go? There we are. You love the writing, though. I also love Mary and her characters. I think that's also partially like why I am not actually going to start thinking about like why she moved like away from romantic things. But I've always liked her characters. Sam and Penny are great. We talked about Pablo and Leanna last month. I think that Leanna is probably the character that I would say is underwritten the most from what I've read from Mary. And I'm currently in the middle of Yoke, and Jane and June are also excellent characters. Penny is definitely in her own little world. She out here doing her own little thing, and I love that for Penny, and Penny loves that for Penny. But it was nice to see characters being like, Earth to Penny, we need you back here. And I thought that really added something to the story. I will say that there was like the sort of like the dramatics of Sam and Penny being a thing to his like not niece, not cousin person. Like, that was a little, I don't know if it was really that deep. I do think that there was some overreacting that was happening. But other than that, enjoyed it. My issue, I don't mind them texting back and forth, but I had this issue when I read it the first time, and I have this issue again. And I think it's just because I really appreciate little like details in the book. And so when it was just like in italics, I always had to remember what perspective I was reading in, because some of the messages were very clear as to like who was texting. Like, it was just in their voice, it was so established. But some of like when it's just like no, yes, I'm just like, okay, but I have no idea who is saying what. And so there were times where I was like, I appreciate these little text exchanges. I understand that these characters are more comfortable in this medium. For me, I didn't think it was all, because I know that when the book came out, people liked it. And then there was this moment where everyone kind of hated it. And then and then I read it, and I'm not saying like I turned the tide, but I did read at a time when people were coming back around to liking it. And I do think that there was a lot of reviews that I watched where people thought that them being friends via the text messages and that whole deep relationship they shared um, wasn't the moment. And I'm just like, it was kind of the moment for me. It wouldn't be me. Like, I couldn't do what they did, but I thought that it worked. Aside from, again, like, I couldn't follow. Oh, I have never listened to a Mayor H.K. Choi audiobook. I probably won't, but I'm happy that in the audio that wasn't an issue. Because I do think that was the only complaint that I've had about the text exchanges is that I wish that because it's like from Simon and Schuster. Like Simon, they have like money to pay some people to give us like some fun little text effects. And so the fact that it was just like italicized writing that was left and right justified, like it didn't work for me. Like maybe, and I think also because it was in italics, so it was like this weird uh loopier font instead of something that I would probably read it. It was just odd. It was a series of odd decisions that didn't work for me. But it was such a minor detail that I'm not going to be like 4 stars because you didn't put more effort into how you formatted some text messages. But I do think that because the texting, if it was just like, a regular contemporary where like maybe every 3 seconds, not even every 3 seconds, but like maybe like once or twice in the entire book, we're going to send a text message, I think that's an instance where you could format it like it was formatted here. But because it's so integral to the whole story, really, I do wish that some effort had been taken to make that a more I don't even know if there's like a word for it, just like a more visually interesting situation. But they clearly disagreed. They didn't agree with my take there. Um, I feel like I've started to say everything that I have to say about it. Because again, I think that these discussions aren't very fun when I enjoy the book. I do think that even though Of Curses and Kisses was terrible, looking back, maybe it's because it's Mary, and I don't want to be on the internet just hating a Mary H.K. Choi book. Maybe I'm holding myself back. But I think I'm starting to like come to the end. So there were other points that there's like 9 people watching according to StreamYard that you guys liked or you didn't like or you think it's worthy of discussion. Let me know. Otherwise, I think I'm gonna wrap this up at the half hour because maybe even before that, like maybe even like 25 if there is things that people want to discuss, it'll probably be at the half hour. But if there's not, then we'll do at 2025. While they wait for StreamYard to catch up because of the delay, I want to remind people that this month's book is Grown by Tiffany D. Jackson. And then April, it is a very simple story. Like she meets this man. Like aside from the party that they go to at the end of like the third act or whatever, like in the third act where everything blows up, and I guess there's like that storyline we haven't touched on with like Sam and his ex-girlfriend. But even that I don't think is terribly complicated. I didn't really care the first time I read about it. I cared even less the second time. I cared more about the documentary this time, but I cared even less about that ex-girlfriend and like that will they won't they situation they were going on with. So like that's all Sam has going on. And then Penny is like I thought it was kind of cute that Penny wanted to be a writer. Love that for Penny. I mean, I don't think this is autobiographical in nature. The same way that like when I read Again But Better, I was like, this is autobiographical. But I do think that there are some very obvious parallels, let's say, between Penny and Miss Mary. Both went to the University of Texas at Austin. They both are writers now. Love that for them. But as I was saying, the April pick will be How It All Blew Up by Arvin Amati. I will remind people closer to the end of April, or the end of April, to the end of March. And I probably will schedule, I'm going to try and schedule the March live today or tomorrow and have that tweet not go up the same day that we're having the discussion. I'm very much like, I haven't started Grown yet. I'm looking forward to reading that and discussing it all with you. Nobody came in with any additional questions or things that they felt they needed to talk about. So because it's so simple, I'm going to wrap that up here and I will monitor the comment section. So if people watch the playback, I will talk to them in the play. Yeah, the story about that little video game girl and that was weird. That was sick and twisted. And I definitely, I can say confidently, I did not remember that. And then when I was reading it, I was like, this is creative. And like, I was almost confident, like somebody had to have like hats off to Penny. Only Penny could come up with something that sick and twisted. But like I said, I'm gonna go. Thanks for coming. Thanks for reading this with me again. We'll be reading Grown by Tiffany D. Jackson this month. And then next month, How It All Blew Up by Arvin Amati. And yeah, thanks for sitting through those weird technical difficulties at the beginning of the stream. Don't know what that was all about. But if you need me, I'll be on Twitter. You can find that linked down below in the video description. But otherwise, have a great Sunday. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.